Welcome back, everybody. Closing off day two of our final day in this session on remote working challenges, engaging digitally with employees. Moderating this session is Dr. Yoong, the managing consultant of People Link Consultants Berhad. Dr. Eng has 30 years of corporate experience in various industries, specializing in talent management, organizational development, particularly in instructional design and adult learning principles to help organizations build and align their people culture to business performance. Therefore, with that, I pass over to you, Dr. Eng.
Hi, thank you, Hasram. Thank you so much. And a very good afternoon, everyone. And I hope everyone is keeping safe, and healthy. All right. So we are going into this very exciting topic, and as I've been telling the panel members, it's a very aptly chosen, title. And I think using the word title may be a bit like not so suitable in the sense that it's a very aptly chosen concern for us to discuss, because we are talking about the life of people, not just about for the pandemic and things like that, right? So with that, I would like to quickly tap on the brain of all our panel members here, because as you can see, all of them here, the Clement Tan, from the group MD and also CEO of Ramsol Group Berhad. And then I go by the order of the screen that I see here, And then Grace Chan, former senior GM of Berjaya, Group HR and Admin of Berjaya. And then Subhash Ganapati here, Head of HR for BMW, Group, the car company. And then we have Vini Ravi Raj, the Senior Director, HR and Talent Acquisition of SRG Asia Pacific, Sdn Berhad. All right. So with that, I would just like each of you to say, a quick greetings before we next move on to the next one. Shall we start with Mr. Clement here? Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nice meeting you all. Thanks for inviting me to these sessions.
Okay. Short one. So next one will be Grace.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Grace. It is really a pleasure attending this session to share with you my experience and knowledge so that I can inspire some of you. Thank you.
Great. And next one will be Mr. Subhash.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I hope you've been having a good session thus far. It's great to be here and to be collaborating with the rest of the panel speakers. Yeah.
And Vinnie, next.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Vini Ravi Raj. Basically, the last 5 to 6 years of my career journey has been much about organization, culture transformation, human resources, and talent acquisition. The last 4 years of my career has been with SRG Asia Pacific, and I head the HR, human resources, the talent acquisition, and CSR under my leadership. Very pleased to be here today.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your quick introduction and greeting. All right, so as our topic here is about remote working challenges, right? Suddenly all of us being thrown into this new working environment, and even the terminology of WFH, work from home, right? So as our title says, remote working challenges, engaging digitally with employees. So, like just before our session, I was just talking with our panel members. I mean, we are thankful in that sense that this pandemic didn't happen earlier, before the social media came about. Imagine we didn't have all this technology, how would we have survived then? How would we have, faced this entire pandemic, right? So, and as you can see, the profile of all of our panel members here, they come from the different background, and also the different organization, the different kind of businesses. So I think it will be a waste if we do not hear from them, from their perspective, from their experience, and also the business they are in, how do they see this working, this remote working challenges like? So I would like, anyone to start off first. How do you see it, Okay, tak payah tunggu-tunggu, can start.
Okay, maybe I can start first.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah, work from home has been it's a mix of bittersweet for me.
Mhm.
Okay, the struggles have been real, without all the social context, the physical people, and as someone who is so a person, I need my human fix, But yet there has been quite a discovery from the digital work perspective. So, but anyway, overall, there's nothing to complain, and there's so much more to be grateful as we are all alive and here today more than anything. So that in a nutshell, that's how it has been for me.
Mm. Okay, great. And who would like to go next?
Kate, maybe I can share.
Oh, yes, Grace, please.
Yeah, I know last year, it hit everybody by surprise, the pandemic. We are in a panic mode, we are shocking mode. But I think right now, people are accepting, the norm. The new norm has become the norm. So we accept the fact that we need to work from home for everybody's safety. Yes, initially there are some heads or supervisors were quite skeptical about work from home. How do I know that my staff is working, work from home? I can't see them. So this is a challenge initially, but I guess now we begin to accept and we begin to accept that it's a norm. And what we did previously in Vijaya is that my team, what we do, we have a Zoom account. So what I did was every twice a week, we have what we call a copy session, e-copy session. It's like a breakfast. Each of us have a coffee with us. Then we chit chat with each other, for about half an hour. I also want to know how are they doing. We also have a chat group. So we communicate through technology, like you said it. So it can be chat group, it can be email, it can also be a Zoom meeting where we can see each other. Even though we may not connect each other physically, but that is so important to see them in the Zoom, in a little camera or pinhole that all of them are safe and sound. So this is what had happened to me, the past 1.5 years.
Okay, great. And next to Subhash or Clement?
Yeah, I could go. I concur with the points from Vinny and Grace, of course. And mind you, I'm a huge proponent of working from home. But I have to say that the current work from home, at least we need to decouple that from the regular remote working that we tend to think about, right? Because here our working from home is precipitated by the pandemic, and it comes up with, or it throws up various different environmental elements, which has an impact on the effectiveness of work from home. So for me, I think it's a great opportunity, as Grace has pointed out, to prove to the business and to detractors that, look, people can work remotely and can do it responsibly. However, it does come with a host of, or an array of disadvantages as well, which are predominantly because of the situation that we are in with the pandemic. Because yes, we are working remotely, but actually our lives are not the same anymore. So we're not working remotely because we choose to work remotely, or because it's convenient, or because it's the most effective work methodology. We're doing it because we're forced to.
Okay, great. Okay, how about you, Clement?
Subhash, nicely say. I actually agree with like this work from home package, okay, because it's like, to me, it's a package because it's a new norm where we have no choice, but we have to follow. But ultimately, being a business owner, like our company basically is listed last month. So, and yet I found that it's very effective where all my staff, they actually enjoy working from home. Initially, I thought when the first IPOs actually hit us, how I'm going to work, how I'm going to communicate with my people and so forth. And because of the evolutionary change, basically it's like, everybody starting the new norm. And I realized is that the cost costing in my company is tremendous, significantly, and turning into profit. And eventually, like, Subhash, BMW, I'm not sure whether you have an e-virtuals like viewing or testing drive, there's something you can consider, Subhash. Anyway, yeah. So in fact, actually myself, I also realized is that I increase my own productivity personally. I enjoying wearing a short pants and a coat during this webinar. In fact, actually, you can't see that I'm wearing a short pants, But the thing, yeah, the thing is that really much enjoy. And the challenge is that, been constantly asking from myself as a HR company, is like how to collaborate with the people, how to engage your people, how to monitor the performance and increase the morale. So this will be the key. And I suppose that this is the right channel to talk about this later on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So I'm hearing quite a few points here, yeah, in terms of, okay, we have people who actually find that work from home is actually more productive, and also personal preference and things like that, yeah. And going back to the question, or rather the topic of today, yeah, remote working challenges. Here we're talking about engaging digitally with our employees. All right. I think, like Grace, you have shared briefly how do you engage your employees digitally. How about the rest? Subhash, I think you did mention a little bit. Any others sharing, like, how did you engage your staff digitally?
Sure, I could go. So, what we're doing is we're looking at different platforms. Yeah. And, the thing is, there are many new methodologies that are out there to create engagement amongst our people, right? So, at the moment we're looking into mental health sort of tools, because we see a huge area to explore, at least in terms of mental health, because inevitably, if you've been working from home or been in a situation of a lockdown for like 14 months or more, obviously it's going to have an impact on one's mental health. Yeah. And these are things which they're silent killers, let's say, because first of all, we're missing the social banter. So, you're not going into work and noticing that someone's feeling dejected or disappointed, or, they're feeling depressed, or they're not talking so much. Rather, we're all in calls. We're jumping in from one call to the other. Sometimes we empathize less with the people, and things like this, they fall through the cracks, right? So one aspect is to look at mental health and looking at digital mental well-being tools. And then, we're looking at like virtual team building tools. Yeah. So the latest one that we're looking at is it's like an escape room, which is virtual. It's conducted via Microsoft Teams. It's rather fun, creates a lot of engagement as well. One thing that we always keep in the back of our mind is that considering the current situation that we're in, a lot of people could feel digital lethargy. Yeah, because we're constantly working with tools and IT systems and platforms, and what we don't want to do is to try to implement a new platform just to create disengagement with our people, because they're just tired of experimentation and new tools.
I see. Okay, how about the rest? And any other tool? I mean, I guess when we talk about tool, the one that we are most familiar with, I think all of us use like what we are using now, Zoom, right? Team, or any kind of virtual platform that we can engage. Yeah, but anyone using beyond this?
Take that question. It's okay, Chris, go ahead.
Okay, no, I just want to share that we actually developed an apps by our internal company to keep us communicated with each other, because a lot of people had handphone, but some staff may not have internet access, but they have data plan, you see. So we actually have an internal communication that whatever announcement, and we even have games, that they can play or go to the website about what Subhash shared about mental health. And we also organize a lot of lunch talk, just 1 hour, because we know our staff will be working from home. So we actually also, not forgetting the learning and development bits, we organize a lot of talk, motivational talk, sharing with them. And we even have one session on mental health, and we also inform our staff that if they need help, they can consult this particular person, that the speaker that we engage. So these are some of the things that we did. And we also conduct mini workshop, just a half day. We know that people have very short attention span, looking at a pinhole. So we do have that. Our training, learning and development team have been very active to engage our staff in all these activities, so that they continue to learn even during this challenging time working from home. Yeah.
Okay. And Vinnie, you have something? Yeah.
Yeah, so my most used or favorite communication channel is already what is already been existing, the WhatsApp channel or the Google Meet, right? See, WhatsApp is almost the main app with all the multifunctions that I can mostly depend on, from calls to chats to sending documents, images, group calls, video call, to get through my daily work. In fact, I began to see WhatsApp as my virtual office, imaginatively speaking, where all my people are always present there. In the traditional method, if I need to speak to my team, or either with an individual or by group, or if I need to have a quick informal meet or chat, I would usually say, Muscle Office, jump, right? So these days, Muscle Office means touch base via WhatsApp. So that's one thing. And then I've also had the habit of pulling out my team from their busy schedule, especially when in the outsourcing world, things can get really very crazy sometimes. Everything can go ramp up suddenly, and when the things get really busy, people need to really find a way to be more creative. And the only way is to take a break them out of the momentum. So one of the things that we do is like brain teasers, or pull them out for a game. And I can do it so easily, replicating or mirroring the same concept on WhatsApp, except it's without a physical body, but it's done digitally, right? Then for a more formal meeting, for instance, if there is a need to build presentations, worksheets, or even client meetings for that matter, team bonding sessions, the preferred channel is Google Meet. In fact, what used to be so physically and formally done at the office space, even like our new hire onboarding, domestic inquiries, trainings, town halls, these days has a new form of feel and look in the digital space. So basically, these are my go-to channels, like what's already existing. And apart from that, the organization is becoming more creative, building their own in-house systems. So we are really looking forward for that.
But I guess in a way that we don't have to reinvent the wheel at this moment, because I guess the whole pandemic just kind of attacked us too fast that we didn't even have time to come up
Exactly.
with things, right? And also you really do not want to put your resources under more stress of coming up with something else, right? Okay, I see your point here. All right, how about you, Mr. Clement?
So for my company, basically, ever since the hitting of the pandemics, and as you may know that our company is a human resource organizations, right? So we specialize in software development. And back then, 2 years ago, we already have our in-house apps called Feeds, the employee engagement and talent success. So basically, they will be launched this month. And anyway,
congrats.
yeah. So there will be a 1.0, which we already launched back then. And now it's a reinventions and even better versions of this 2.0. And what's the reinvention actually doing is actually we integrate with Zoom. So basically, everyone is using our apps with the Zoom. So how this actually in-apps help our organization, basically because the whole entire feed is a gamified apps. So basically, they are leveraging and so forth. And most importantly, these apps actually provide recognition to employees. So for instance, in order to boost up the morale and the productivity of our people, assuming the low level rankings of people get the recognition from the CEO and chairman, they feel that they are actually outshine in the companies, they get recognition. So these kind of things can actually increase the morale of the people, as well as whatever the activities they're doing, they get actually the rewards and points where they can exchange in the vending machine or some brand partners. And most importantly, because we have the collective of the data from weekly, so that the people can actually answer and so forth. And there are many other features. So with the features, one of the features that we're working with Zoom is Connect. So which is something like what actually Subhash and Grace mentioned, where they're doing the virtual team buildings, right? So with these feeds connecting with Zoom, we are the first app that actually working with Zoom. Okay, so they can do like yoga, gym online virtually among the teammates and so forth and so forth. And ultimately, these apps, the best part would be, the ultimate objective of this app is trying to measure three things: stress, happiness, and engagement index of people. And in the end of the days, all the employees, we were actually able to know that what is their behavior patterns. Okay, and this is the first apps actually such engagement as in Southeast Asia. Yeah. And of course, we also actually collaborating with another providers called LAC, basically a subsidiary company of one of the big company in China, which is ByteDance. So basically, this LAC is a social collaboration platform, and during this pandemic, thanks for LAC, we have a growth revenue by selling these products, and yet this is actually allow you to do the video conferencing and so forth and so forth. And in fact, actually, if today we have another panelist that is in Thai or China that doesn't able to speak English, they have an immediate translation in terms of the subtitle in the video conference. Right. And because of that, we see that it's a very good product as well. Then we actually coming out with a lab work from home package to actually to promote it to the market and helping all the SME where they get hit badly with the pandemic. Okay, so we make it as affordable as possible to all the companies in Malaysia and also the rest of the country that they have presence. Right.
I see. Okay, I'm glad that you share a bit more about the different technology, because as we are now in pandemic, in whatever industry you are, we are basically left with no choice but to leverage on the technology and things like that. And I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate here. And I see my panel member here right now. We have kind of like the users of the technology and the creator of the technology here. All right. So my question here is that, probably this is a commonly asked before, but it becomes much more pertinent at this moment, is that how much technology actually can replace human, basically what is the pros and the cons. But if you look at the field of HR, the technology being used is not new. I would say maybe in the last 10 years it has started to come up more, of course this pandemic has accelerated and things like that. But from the two different perspectives that I would like to get the floor to discuss on this is, how much can it replace, and what will be your point in terms of seeing the advantage of using technology to engage your employees, and what would be the disadvantage of using technology? Yeah, can you all share? Anyone?
Okay, maybe I can share.
Yeah.
I think that there's a time, comes where HR was, I don't know, there was some mixed view about HR being replaced by robot. We are talking about robotic, we are talking about AI and all that. My view is that it will not be 100%, because we are all human beings. You need the personal touch, you need the human touch, and also connection, among each other. Yes, AI has helped human resource in a lot of things. It cut down a lot of processes, it cut down a lot of time and even cost. When you have AI to do analytics for you, or you have data to do analytics for you, there's so much information that can help us to improve our, in terms of benefit, in terms of even medical leave and all that. So this is something that to me is debatable. I always believe that my colleagues also tell me that, Grace, working from home is great, but I still want to connect to people. I still want to go to office once a while, to say hi to my colleague. It's nothing like seeing face to face, because you want to be connected. The emotional part, the EQ part also need to be addressed as well. So computer is one thing, IT is one thing, but I believe that we still need to be connected in terms of face to face, at one time. But I love AI. I love the system. Like, for example, we have mobile apps, for HR system. We also have the mobile apps, if our staff go to see doctor, they don't need to bring, last time they used that medical chip. We have another apps called Magnific, a company we joint venture with. They just scan the QR code, go into the doctor. When they came out, they will know what is the cost of the visit anyway. Immediately, it will be deducted from their entitlement. So really, it make a lot of different, or else our staff had to key in very tediously about how much they have spent and what is the entitlement. So I believe in using technology for HR, but not 100%, I think. Yeah, that's my point of view.
Yeah. I guess I see where your point is. I was just thinking, this might sound a little bit like funny, but I'm sure you all experience it at home as well. Within your family members, you use WhatsApp to communicate, right? First floor and ground floor, third floor and the ground floor, right? and things like that. Even the office, right? You meet face to face, but when you want to gossip about something, want to say something, you don't want other people to hear you, you still go back to WhatsApp. Am I right? So in that sense, that's where the technology comes in, right? Very handy, right? So you need that complement each other in terms of, with the kind of analogy, but basically what I'm trying to say is that, it does complement, right? I mean, I'm sure like some of us, when you will have to travel overseas for work or even studying overseas, at that time you really, really, really cherished technology, right? You can't think, you can't thank technology enough, especially for those people having long distance relationship, right? Even hearing the hello from your boyfriend, girlfriend was like, make your day, right? Okay, how about other?
Totally.
I would.
Let, go on, Vinny.
It's okay. So much. You want to take it?
No, go for it.
Okay. Okay. So I came across an article not long ago about technology being the god of modern day. Okay, and when I reflect on that article once again, right? And interestingly, and I'm a very high touch person, high human person, but when you rethink about it again, we are today, all of us have embraced this religion of technology, isn't it?
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, really, technology is a necessity today, not only when it comes to work or staying connected with their teammates, but while in the face of a global pandemic and in quarantine, it has been the only enabler, isn't it, to connect people, family, friends, colleagues, clients, and as such, anywhere and anytime, and it's all just in a click. Okay, while I do not for once think that human connection is replaceable. However, given the current norm and the dire state that we are in, technology responses to the people interaction, it makes the socialization still possible. And like I said, being a very people person myself, I need my social and human fix. And with all the social distancing in place, the border closure, the travel limitation, and the likes of it, technology has now taken on a new form of significance, whether we like it or not. No, by changing the way we communicate at work or the business dealings or interactions or even increase collaboration, to name a few. In fact, recently I did my dad's birthday, via virtual call, because that's the only way. I've got my old parents back at home, right? And not only that, the options of free apps are becoming more and more available to us, from voice connection to instant chat, FaceTime to video conferencing at the comfort of anywhere and on many platforms. So, and again, you don't have to travel, you don't have to spend hefty amount of time, money to meet and connect with anyone. So personally, for me, it has been so far more, it has been seen to be more productive for me with my teammates. And it's also a tool that I totally depend on to be effective, be it at work or simply to stay connected. It's also a tool that I solely I rely on, or I personally favor to stay engaged and united with the people in the organization as we embrace that togetherness while we are scattered everywhere in this current times. Still, there is no way any high tech can ever replace the high touch of a physical human interaction. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Was it just now, Subhash, you were trying to say something? Yep.
Yeah, I'm totally with Vinny and Grace as to what they've said. The thing is, technology is just an enabler. Yeah, so it provides us with the platform for us to do many things. And it's like when you have a robotics program. Yeah, you get a lot of mundane activities done. Yeah, but it's not going to replace the person. Because at the end of the day, your robot could do all the mundane activities, but the person has to make the final decision. It doesn't. You don't do a claims process and then make an approvals with a robot. You need a person at the end. So it just means that we as people become or have the opportunity to be more highly skilled in the work that we do. And that's the great part of technology, right? But then if you look at the second part of your question, if technology is going to, if we can engage people just with technology, I think that's hardly likely. I mean, think of a person who is engaged by I don't know, chatting with a chatbot. I mean, how frustrating is that, right? And you know, however excellent artificial intelligence can get to, it's simply not going to make up for the feeling of having another person on the other line. Simply not going to do that. Yeah, and therefore we should, you know, we should limit it to being a little bit of an enabler at the moment, and to connect people really. That's actually where I see technology. Even engagement, we use technology as an enabler to engage our people, but not more than that. The technology in itself is not going to engage our people.
Great. How about Clement? Do you have anything to add here?
Sure. I think I actually very agree with what actually Subhash, Grace, and Vinny mentions. And in fact, actually, I don't want it to be replaced, by human touch, because personally, I would like to travel to meet all my colleagues in the other countries because I enjoy travel. So in fact, actually, if technology being replaced means that it doesn't have any excuses for me to travel and meet people personally. Okay, but in fact, actually, I agree where technology should be complement and enable, like what Subhash mentions. Because what I'm looking at it, because myself, my company is a technology company, right? So we've been always, when we're trying to do sales, we've been always telling that this AI or robotic, how it can ease the process of your workflow or your processes of your company, but it's not really replacing your people's, right? Especially, for example, like AI, artificial intelligence, or data analytics, it's supposed to give you a more impactful predictive insights for your company, like your employee behavior, talking about engagements, or their valuable talents. So in fact, actually, the insights and the AI, it should help your company to do better, okay, and also understand the current trends and also your employees, so that your company can move into a more healthy organization. So I would say that human touch essentials, technology should be complement, helping more, providing more insights to do a more strategic decision making.
Yep.
Right.
Great. Yeah. I concur with that. I mean, in terms of, from my work in consulting, and meeting different clients in different industries, yeah, as well. Yes, technology complements, and there are some things that we probably need to rely a bit more on technology. For example, I mean, when you talk about data will remain as data unless they are being analyzed. Just like how you peel the onions, right, layer by layer, and make sense out of the data. Otherwise, it just becomes number that digits, right? So this is where I think the value add of how we can leverage on technology and to use that for our staff engagement, as well as business, right, in many different ways as well. All right, Grace, have you spoken already? Sorry, I kind of like forgot. You have, yeah? Okay. All right. Okay, then I would like to move on to some questions here. We have received some questions, and there are two questions that I think we could combine, and also probably many of us asking as well. Okay, will this work from home be the way moving forward after this pandemic? Will we go back to normal? And also, there's also this question, at the end of the day, we all, in a way, will have to resign to the fact that we will have to live alongside with COVID, but with more protection, whether it's through vaccination, whatnot, right? So from pandemic, we will move on to endemic. So which will mean that we have to live with the virus for a long time. So how do y'all see the working from home pattern or the trend after this? Will company and you yourself, in your various capacities, will still insist your staff to come back, and not working from home, even though the work is possible for the person to work from home? What are your thoughts?
Kid, if I could start then, I think the way for the future, at least the way I see it in my organization, would be we would have a blended approach. Yeah, so that would be one whereby we allow people to work from home when they need to, and of course coming to the office when they need to. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we already had implemented a work from home policy right before we got into the first MCO, for example. Yeah, so and if anything, this pandemic has proven, as we have said before, that it's possible. It's an effective methodology. People can work from home, and people can be trusted to work from home. Yeah. So we've got a tick in the box there. If the business ever has a question as to does this methodology work? Yes, it does. Yeah. The thing is, as soon as the MCO is lifted, I'm sure we'll have an influx of people back into the office. Yeah, because people simply are dying to get back to the office and get back into some sort of normalcy. Yeah, and that's understandable, because we're humans, right? We need that social interaction. We have missed what is life, right, for the past almost 2 years. But I think eventually, when we get into, like what you said, an endemic where we're living with it, and then we're back into work, then people could start choosing their work patterns. Yeah, and then working from home when they need to, and working from the office when they need to. And I think it's a great work methodology.
How about, I was just wondering, how about roles that so-called will have to deal with more sensitive data, where
Mhm.
security could be a concern and things like that?
Yeah,
Would
I
that
think
be, yeah.
yeah, this was one of the concerns as well when we initially started our entire work from home process. And what we then did is we had additional measures for IT security. So we had like a two-factor authentication which employees needed to do. But one thing which we can't control, of course, is when you're working in an open environment, right? And then you have sensitive data. And I think the only way we can deal with that is through education on legal and compliance, and how to behave in the right surroundings in the right way. Yeah. And I don't think you could implement a strict rule and say you are responsible for sensitive data, and therefore you need to work from the office. That's we've seen that rules such as those don't work anymore, because right now all our people who are responsible for sensitive data are working from home, or they're working remotely, and
Yeah.
it works.
I cannot agree more, Subhash. Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I cannot agree more. I echo what Subhash has said. In fact, if anything, the pandemic has taught a lot of people that whatever that was seen impossible became possible, right? Things that the way how every organization, at least in the first phase of the pandemic, when things are super certain, and I'm sure I don't speak only for my organization, and I speak for many, the entire workforce nation or globally were forced to shift to a new norm of work, right? They needed to accelerate the workplace innovation, the way how they delivered the service, the way how we reshuffle people, manage the ever-changing COVID guidelines, there was so many in place. And then when we thought everything was okay, we were going back to what was subnorm, and then we go back again. So we today we're talking about how organizations have to step up and to advance into a completely renewed approach or business style, right? To continue the sustainability. So yes, the pandemic has taught us a lot of things, and it was going how the future of the workforce is going to be. I think it'll be very hybrid. There will be people who will organizations will have maybe some will work from home, some will work from office, some will have an integrated work life. So it will be a mix of everything, totally in the virtue of the job's nature. And people can choose what sort of or the organization and the people can choose what sort of life or work style suits them. And and then it's all about showing capability. People have become more mature, people have become more reliable, people have become more trustworthy. And as I'm speaking all this, I'm just reflecting back on the people in our organization, and when they had to step up the game, how they've just matured 10 years ahead from what they thought they could never do, right? And I think to a certain extent, there's a silver lining on this COVID-19. This was one of the takeaways. We saw people really grew and develop.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe I can just
Grace,
give
go
my
ahead,
view.
yeah.
Yes, totally agree, with Supa and Vinny. Really, the pandemic has changed our work habit. We never could imagine that we know how to use Zoom, Microsoft Teams and so forth. And in fact, before I left the company, the CEO, the CEO actually now set up a rules, that all the replacement of the PC has to be laptop. I mean, everybody now had to have laptop, because we used to have personal computer, at our table, because we normally do not bring back unless it's only heads of department, they have the privilege of using laptop. Of course, some other companies has already using laptop, but Jaya is in the phase of changing. So what we did was that when the pandemic hit, some of the computer that was due for replacement were due for replacement by laptop. For example, my department in HR, we changed all to laptop. But you know what? The whole world were short of stock. They don't have laptop, to supply to us. It takes us, 4 to 5 months to get a laptop. So you can see the changes is happening. In fact, now mandatory, everybody will get a laptop instead of PC. So that is one of the change. And the other one also, the companies or the senior management is also talking about work from home. Like some department, they can work from home. Some department, they can work in the office, they need to, but at least once or twice a week, they will come back to the office, that's all, So, and you also help to save the office space, because we are spending, previously, and now we don't really maybe have to expand or taking up more floor space, but just deal with whatever space that we have, but have a work from home policy on rotation basis. So this is a trend that we are seeing also changing, and a lot of our staff now learning how to use Zoom, learning to bring back their work to do at home and to be disciplined, because they need to report on their productivity, for example, what are the things that they had to do, which they did not used to do that. You only see them in the office and they work, that's all. So it's actually a new practices and change that you can see now. Yeah.
And I mean, still on this question, and I'm just trying to think from the perspective of the technology, which Clement, your company is very much into it now. I still remember when I was living in Japan, this is more than, I don't know, 20 years ago, whatever, they came up with a laptop that, the Japanese will do a lot of work when they're traveling in the bullet train, right, the Shinkansen, right? So the laptop is such that the person sitting next to it cannot see the screen. All right, that's the technology that came up. And for what I'm hearing about, this question asked about the long term, whether it can work from home, issue about security. So at the end of the day, so what I'm hearing here is that the trust given to the staff and also the education on that. And if I may add, I would think that it's very much a control mechanism, because whether we like it or not, there's certain control mechanism, because yes, trust, but we are human, not everyone can be trusted. Even education, how much people see the importance, all right? And the other mechanism put in place, of course, is the law. You do it, you break the law, you get fined or you go to jail, right? But from the technology perspective, because whether we like it or not, we have to leverage on it, right? So what other technology, mechanism put in place to address this for the long term?
Okay. So maybe let me give you some example. So prior to MCO, basically our company had practicing work from home. So to me, this MCO is not something new, something new that we need to adapt, especially our company. Just put in case, because we have countries in Vietnam, Indonesia, and other countries as well. So to communicate with my teammate in other countries, already been using this social collaboration like Zoom. I've been using Zoom for many years. Right? So to me, it's not something new, and our company always practicing working from home since 3-4 years back. The reason why, because I realized is that, it's another way of trying to train your leaders or your line managers how to set a right expectation coming back to office with your team only once a week. If the direction is correct, eventually your team will know what to do at home and with more productive and effectively, right? So that's one thing. So speaking of which, in terms of technologies, I will see virtual office is something that is new. Okay, and we being a consulting firm, especially we serving some of the big MNC companies in all the countries that we have. So we always introducing, now everyone going for the reset buttons, right? Because of the new norm. So every HR department is going for the reset, where you need to redesign your leave application, your claims application, or even your payrolls or your recruitments or performance and so forth, correct? Because performance-wise, you cannot have people doing the evaluation or everything's virtually. So it used to be physically. So how you can get the human touch? for me to improve how to answer your question, how to improve this even more efficient by using technology, I suppose up to 90%, but not 100%, because like your previous question, human touch is still essentials. Okay, with technology, it can facilitate. Okay, and I suppose something like if you've seen the futuristic dramas or movies, we are talking about like virtual meetings, or wearing the virtual goggles, this and that, right? Something like that. Yeah.
I see. So okay, while you're still on it, so back to that security. I mean, some companies have already, basically controlled that. Yeah, the control mechanism. For example, you cannot copy into your pen drive and things like that, right? The pen drive is disabled and things like that. But I was just wondering, do we have this technology? Like, everyone has a handphone, right? I work from home, or even office. I can just take a picture from the screen, right? Do we have a technology where your handphone cannot capture the screen of the computer? I've not heard of it so far.
Yeah, in fact, actually, like the social collaboration platform that we have, like LAB, correct, is basically we need to encourage the B2B platform, not like a B2C platform, to dealing with all your communication and your sensitive data within your own companies, right? So I always encourage my people to not use, sorry to say that, another B2C's kind of like social collaborations, okay, to communicate with the team, especially sensitive information. Use our company platform, which is LAB, to communicate, because ultimately it's still a private instance, where you belong to our company, not a public, right? I think there's no 100% to control, but at least we mitigate as much as possible.
So kind of a gatekeeper kind of mechanism.
Right. Right.
Okay, great. Okay, and then the next question is, all right, this is about KPI, okay? I mean, it's business performance or employee performance, but I guess it's also related to engaging employees, because you see, the premise is that an engaged employee will be a good performer, right? That will help you to deliver your business results. That's what, company are putting so much emphasis on employee engagement, not just to make you happy, that kind of team building to make you happy for that moment, but how much are you engaged? How much do you really work for your company because you really believe that is what you should do, whether it's from moral, ethical perspective or professional perspective, right? So how would you engage your employees digitally in terms of the KPIs and ensuring that they're met, and how do you measure? How do you see the challenge moving forward on this? Anyone would like to share? Or so far everything is okay because we still 1 year in the pandemic.
Okay. In fact, actually, perhaps,
yeah.
oh, sorry, Subhash, you want to go ahead first?
No, go right ahead.
Yeah, so to measure the KPI in the companies, basically how we does is that, of course, the goals and the competency, when you measure the performance of your people, is going to be different, right? So back then, when you measure your people performance, is based on depending on some attitude, what kind of skill they have, and so forth and so forth. Because of this new norm, there are so many challenges and limitations that they cannot achieve what they're supposed to achieve, where we try to measure only the result. Okay, the result. And of course, the whole alignments and also redesigning the whole performance documents and also the questions and also the goal will be all redesigning based on the new norm. Okay, so how I engage my people, basically, of course, using the apps. Okay, we've been continuously letting them know that the company is there with you, because employee is still a key ambassador of the company. Okay, so, and eventually employees asset. We always been encouraging, like, we sending a lunch for them, always treating them like they are actually working physically with us, by using our connect to do the virtual interactions, virtual gym or yoga, and so forth and so forth. And also we interact them where every single employee in our company birthday, we also will send a cake to them, at least showing them that you are part of us. Don't be panicked. This economy or this pandemic basically is going to be increasing or making the things better. Okay, and if you continue with us, keeping up the innovation with the company, because innovation is the key for this new norm. So long that we always be emphasizing innovative, creative is the key for this new norm. Okay, no matter how good you are, you need to be very creative to designing a new things what the customer need and society need in the market. So yeah, this is how I actually encourage and engage my people. Yep.
All right, there's a question here for Grace. Grace, pay attention, yeah? Do you agree that it depends, that means work from home depends on the direction and aspiration of the top management? There has to be a driver for change, right? Our current digital support environment, is it sufficient for us to go full scale?
I think it depends on which industry you're from, and also depends on the company's in terms of the digitalization project that they have. Some company have a very good measurement, in terms of their KPI. You are talking about KPI. Some company may not ready yet, with the measurement, especially this pandemic. It really hit us by surprise. In fact, my team's KPI had to change a few times, because anyway, KPIs is dynamic. You can change it when required, when there are certain KPI are not achieved because of certain circumstances that beyond our control. So I always believe that we can change our KPI along the whole year. In fact, every 6 months when we do a review. So it depends on company. For example, the KPI that's set, my team always argue with me, how can we ask, let's say, for example, dispatch or receptionist work from home, we can't. So these are the people that we need to take care of. They have their own KPI, but how do you measure their KPI if they are not working in the office? So this is some of the things that the human or the humanity part or the empathy part need to come in. For example, when we first had the last year, at the end of the year, when you want to do KPI performance appraisal, they asked me, Grace, I didn't achieve 50% of my KPI. Am I going to be penalized? I said, no, because all of us are all in together. We face these challenges, their engagement activity that they plan cannot be implemented. We plan a lot of engagement activity that we want to organize for our corporate office, but we can't. So we need to tweak, we need to adjust. So what I did is that we discussed among the heads and we say that, okay, why don't we change the KPI? Just say that we meet the objective, because we cannot penalize staff for not achieving the objective because of the circumstances that beyond their control, and they cannot even come to office, they cannot implement certain things. So I always believe, like you say, technology do help us to measure certain KPI, key in KPI to calculate the score or whatever, but I always believe that the human factor must be in there to intervene, to do some changes, so that it's flexible, the system. So my team are quite happy that we understand the challenges that they face. Policies are policies, but when it comes to this unprecedented pandemic, we all had to bring out the humanity, the empathy of us. Just like we have a situation where one of the staff family was infected with pandemic, and then the question asked, do they have to take leave to take care of the family? Can we give them unrecorded leave? This was brought up because she was quarantined for about 2 weeks. She need to be quarantined because of the family, and she also need to take care of the family. So I think we need to be really empathize with the current situation. Policy. I was challenged by the policy because of the policy. But I also challenged back. To the heads and the staff. I say, what are we here for? We are not policemen. We are not inspectors to make sure that the rules are enforced, the policy are enforced. We are all human beings. We are emotional beings. We are human beings. So we need to take care of the emotion. And you know what? Because of the emotion, the empathy that we show to our staff, that is where you will be able to engage the staff. And you know what? The staff will go extra mile for you because you have actually empathized with them and address the challenges that they face. And I know that whoever this staff is going to go the extra mile in the future, after the pandemic. Yeah, this is my experience.
I just want to add on that point. Grace said so aptly. Just let me give you a story. Coming back to your question again, Kate. How do you measure if your people are truly engaged? How do you think your people are all very happy? I think it's beyond KPI. Let's look at the humanity part, right? So let me just go back a little bit. So my role itself, since the time I was employed into the organization, was to look into the organization's culture transformation. So it is really to elevate one of the company's core values of being people first. I even recall vividly the words are still lingering in my ears till today when one of the board of directors during the interview 4 years ago emphasized to me that Vinnie, the people first value has to be something that is driven with the right and meaningful purpose. Very hard to put that into KPI, right? Right and meaningful purpose. So to make a point, when I first started, had to deal with a lot of this new ground of people, the leadership, their behaviors, heaps of barriers to break, right from the existing multi-directional culture, and then you have to work towards introducing new or shift mindset. Not only winning the hearts, you got to win the souls. You know what I mean. And then you got to be aligned and finding ways to collaborate. I tell you, it was almost impossible, the task. Okay. And truth to be told, I even had two minds if I should continue my career with the organization. But there's a quote that says, right, when life gives you dirt, you plant seed. So like that, those seeds were planted and new hopes began to harvest. And that through that journey, it cultivated a fresh thinking of behaviors through our people and their thoughts. Along the way, it brought up two mantras that we profess strongly today in our organization. One of it being making a difference and the other one being we care. So to share a true story from that mantra, and this is closely resonates with my heart, especially during the pandemic. We were hit during the first early year. Our organization was not spared, so we had to shift our business methods. While almost some of them were made from home, and there was a significant group of people who were left idling due to the nature of the business, the campaign. We're outsourcing, right? So whilst there was stimulus packages per employee and retrenchment aid by the government, but we know the fact that the amount and the plan was insignificant for survival, especially being in the city. So we decided to retain this group. But how? By the higher management, the senior management agreed a substantial pay cut to keep this group of people afloat, slightly more than the stimulus package could offer. And then we thought, okay, we'll wait out and see the next few months how things goes or how things unfold. So when we made that announcement, what really shocked the organization was when a large group of people from the mid-level to the below level, they were on full salaries, they were not on idling, came united, stepped in and volunteered pay cuts. And this was to aid the idling group for a more decent income and to sustain them for a little longer until such time we were able to find a solid solution. And this went on for a few months consecutively until such time we found ways to remanage our business under the new norms and the condition, enabling us 100% of our workforce to be retained, either from working from home or office. So people even went to support those whose household income was terribly hit as a result of the pandemic and disaster. For me, this is a testament of reflecting on people, how people are engaged. I think more than looking how people are engaged, how people look at their company, their jobs as something purposeful. I've seen my people bloom now to an enriched culture, okay, in their very core of humanity and the care for one another, displaying the company's meaningful people first value and making and that people first value and making a difference in a big way. Till today, that incident moves me very deeply.
Great, thanks. All right, in view of time, looks like we have to step up here. And just before, so do you all think that the current digital, support, provided is sufficient for us to work from home or even to enhance further? Because of the nature, you do not know, how long this pandemic or even another smaller scale pandemic may appear. So what do you all think? And also this is probably our input for MDEC. Are we allowed to organize it? And also the authorities, maybe they would also like to hear, any kind of support that we wished, are here for us and moving forward. Anyone? Just a quick one before we wrap up. This is your chance. And MDEC, I think you're placing your antenna up already, right? Listening to us.
I think if I was to take that, I think at the moment we've got a fantastic technological platform, really, and it's enabled us to do
Great.
a lot. Or actually, it's enabled us to float our businesses. And I speak for the BMW Group. At least we've done everything virtually, and we've not actually had many issues. Yeah. Thankfully, as Grace had mentioned before, she was using a lot of
Great.
desktops and stuff like that, and we moved towards having laptops much earlier on. So that technological shift from working in the office to working from home happened swiftly, and I think that was really good. I think if you look at what sort of bandwidths we have in our country, we can be lucky as well. I know that in certain areas, not all homes have the greatest bandwidths, and that's definitely something to look into. Even the options with dongles and USB sticks, this are not the greatest sometimes. And I think that's an improvement area there. But otherwise, with regards to technological tools that are available to us as HR practitioners, I think we've got a phenomenal number of tools out there, and it's really about how we implement those in our day to day.
Great. Okay, any one last one to add before I wrap up? No? Okay. If no, I'll just want to quickly summarize here for what I'm hearing and also of the questions that came. We impossible to answer all the questions, and also some questions are probably more on the a little bit more on the HR system and processes that probably we need a different platform to talk about this as well. But basically, I think remote working challenges. I think all of us agree in the sense that the technology, the digital age is an enabler, and we are basically a human who are survival species. We make do with what is available, right? And whatever that we can make use of, and to get our staff to get engaged and to deliver. So at the end of the day, when we talk about remote working and this engaging our employees, the very basic so-called tenets of, if I may say, understanding of the employee engagement is that we are trying to get our employee as much as possible engaged with the company, engaged with the business of the company, so that they will be able to give their best and work the extra mile for you, right? And deliver what needs to be delivered. So that at the end of the day is what we are paid for, to do our work. And I think all of us in a way agree that technology helps enable, and of course things always can be improved. I'm sure like Subhash, you pointed out, some areas may not have such a good bandwidth, but in the urban area, basically we are not that bad. We survived, right, for more than a year already. All right. So with that, thank you so much to all the panel members for your insightful sharing thoughts, and also the practice that you have done so far. And I'm sure there are some other questions, and I'm not sure how organizers are going to compile those questions. But I mean, personally, to me, I'm more than happy to answer, and I'm sure a panel member, you all will be more than happy to share whatever that to help, with the HR fraternity, and also to help our business to move forward, especially when the pandemic is over. We need to propel forward. All right. So back to you, Hasro. Thank you so much, Hasro.
Thank you, Dr. Ng, and all our esteemed panelists for that wonderful discussion. Love it or hate it, remote working, the gig economy is here to stay post-COVID. Maybe not as widespread, but an option for consideration by small to big organizations, maybe in a hybrid version, to attract, retain talent for the workforce of tomorrow, as well as improve productivity, reduce costs, and work-life balance for those who have a physical office. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you. With that final session, we have concluded day 2 of the Digital Ecosystem Week at Malaysia Tech Month 2021. I'd like to thank all our speakers for the whole day for their outlooks, ideas, and insights on pragmatizing the digital economy amid today's unprecedented uncertainties. So we invite our participants to join us back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. So do check out our agenda for satellite events happening all around the MTM 2021 space. We also invite participants to make use of the virtual networking lounges available. So you're welcome to reach out to the admin via the chat box for any form of assistance you require. With that, we end our session. This is Hasro, your host, signing out for today. See you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Stay safe. Thanks, everyone.